brothers in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here. ETM Hotel, Brenny Sean, welcome in peace. My name is Sean. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. I'm not gonna keep y'all too long, but I did want to come on here and just go in and do a little slight brief build. I see that I got some intruders in the chat. In the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and let these brothers introduce themselves. And before I let them do that, let me make sure if I don't find it in this text message, Kofi, I need the sizes of the kids' book again. I think I texted to you the sizes. So send me what we use for the book cover sizes for the children's book for me, please.
8x5, gotta look at the text message.
I need it written down because I have to give it to somebody.
All right.
Thank you very much. Now, since Brother T'Challa was first to join the panel, I want to go ahead and let my brother T'Challa introduce himself. And go ahead, my brother, unmute yourself and get busy.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now. You know me. Peace to everybody that's tuning in. It's always good when we have some of my minds to get it off our chest. Uh, these little pop-up lives John been doing, been kind of dropping some jewels. So let's see what our brother has to offer. We appreciate everybody who shows us love and rock with us, yo. Like we really, really do. Y'all are making our name blow up and do wonders.
And I'm gonna let the next knucklehead introduce himself with this Scully that he has on this evening. I don't know who he typing, but he should have ironed his t-shirt. But go ahead, brother.
Peace. I didn't even know y'all was live, man. I thought you just what's the name? But anyway, I want to say ETM Hotel. Dua Aku, Dua Netra, Fatmu Alafiye, Fatmu Riri, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Alakba, Majuba Iba E Alakba, E Gungun, Kiki Gungun. I always have to give honor and praise to the ancestors because I know without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. I am Kofi Piesie. I don't know but peace to everybody in the chat. Peace to those that may be looking at this in the archive. I hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. And that's it, man. I'm Kofi Piesie. I don't know what the show is about, man, but let's get it in.
You don't want to talk about your book?
Oh, well, we can talk about it real quick. Everybody know that I dropped a book a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. On my son's birthday. The name of the book is called Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland. African Education and Music and Instrument. Matter of fact, I'll show it real quick while I'm on here. This is the book right here. Again, it's Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland and African Education and Music and Instruments. Brother Jehudi Ma'at did the book cover and did some of the artwork in the book as well as in Sean's book and the book cover for his as well. Kalawa's book is Kalawa is a book about an 11-year-old Gullah Geechee girl. She's a Gullah Geechee girl from South Carolina. For those that may not know who the Gullah Geechee people are, the Gullah Geechee people are people that descends from Liberia and Sierra Leone. Different ethnic groups, the Mindi, specifically the Mindi, but you have the Mindi, the Va, the Bassa, the Kono, the Kissi, the Timni, and etc. There's a multiple ethnic groups that makes up the Gullah Geechee people who were kidnapped from Sierra Leone and Liberia and brought to South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida to these different sea islands to cultivate rice. We know that tobacco, cotton was a high commodity during the Atlantic kidnapping trade, but rice was also a high commodity at that time, where at one period of time as well. And I based the story around the Gullah Geechee people homecoming. They eventually found out that they descend from Sierra Leone and Liberia. So in 1989, they took a pilgrimage, or what they call the homecoming, back to see Sierra Leone. So I base it around that. Base it around there where Salafu, who is a character in the book, that is Kalawa's father. Both of those are Gullah Geechee names. And the father goes to, in 1989, goes on a trip with his grandparents and his grandparents and his mother and father to Sierra Leone. And he had a wonderful experience as a young boy. So he vowed, once he grew up and had children, he would take his children or his child to have that same experience. So as Salafu grows up, he has one daughter named Kalawa. So he takes his 11-year-old daughter to Sierra Leone to get closer to her roots and to have the same experience he had when he was little, when his grandparents and his mother and father took him to Sierra Leone to get closer to the roots. But as this young 11-year-old Gullah Geechee girl makes it to Sierra Leone, her father surprised her and tell her that she's not only going to Sierra Leone, but she's going to other different places in West Africa, and then they're going to end up in South Africa in Dunbar. So she goes. So they once she make it to Sierra Leone, she falls in love with music. When she first arrived there, they welcomed her to the village. There was music. The festivals that she went to was music. She learns about each country that she went to. She learns about music and the culture. So she learns about the Bandu Sandy Society while she was there, a secret woman society, a rites of passage where young ladies are becoming adults. So she falls in love with the music. They share with her how important music are. She learns about multiple music instruments while she's in Sierra Leone. She leaves Sierra Leone. She goes to Senegal. I don't know in the order, but if she goes to Senegal, she learns about the culture in Senegal. She learns about varieties of music instruments, how they make the music instruments, and why certain people play certain instruments. She goes on to Mali. She learns about the griots when she gets to Mali. So she learns how important the griots is, and griots are also musicians. She learns about the three musical instruments that the griots plays. She learned a little bit more about the culture. They reiterate music to her. She goes to Nigeria. She learns about the Igbo people. She learns about the music, the instruments that they play. She goes to she ends up in Dunbar with the Amazulu people in South Africa, where she learns about the Amazulu oldest village, and she learns about the cosmology story. They teach her or reiterate how music is ingrained in African culture or ingrained in our culture, no matter what we are doing. Singing, dancing, playing of instruments is always around. She learns about the cosmology story. She goes home. She shares this information with her mother and shares this information with her friend. In the back of the book, it has a 1 page, I think about 10 questions, because I want the children to be able to comprehend the same thing as in Sean's book. We want you to be able to the kids to comprehend what they're reading. So they have a questionnaire, a quiz. Once they answer the quiz, it's a fun grading sheet in the back of it, where the the children and the parents can grade and see see how well they comprehended what they read. It's a great story. I didn't give you all the information, but please go pick it up on Kofi Piesie TV. .com. Again, that is KofiPiesieTV.com or Amazon.com. We prefer you get it off of KofiPiesieTV.com, but it doesn't matter if you get it off of Amazon as well. But yeah, that's my children book, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland, the African Education in Music and Instrument. It is targeted between the ages of 8 and 13, but parents are able to read them as well. A few people I know have read the book, parents, and they said it's a great book, and it was things that they didn't know about the culture that they learned about in Pacific regions of these different countries. Again, Sierra Leone, Senegal, Mali, Nigeria, and South Africa, specifically Dunbar. So yeah, that's it. Dealing with my book. Again, it's Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland of African Education in Music and Instrument.
I see we're joined by a few other brothers on the panel, man. So Sute, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, bro?
Yeah, man. Peace to the brothers on the panel. Peace to the chat. Peace to all those who see it in the archives. It's your brother Sutek. I'm gonna play the background for now because I kind of came in late. I got the notification while I was watching how the boy who harnessed wins. So I'm gonna play the background for right now and see what y'all talking about.
And then I said that's a good one. What you watching about the little African brother who never mind, I ain't gonna ruin it.
Yeah, don't because I'm halfway through.
Okay. And then we got our brother Satepan Rameri Amin. I don't know if he's busy, man, and he might want to unmute or whatever, but it's on you, bro. Peace to brother Jehudi. He in the chat right now, man. Our artwork specialist, you know what I mean? Graphic specialist.
Please.
I think Satepan might be busy, man, but yeah, Satepan in the building right now, man. He probably was cooking when we went live, so he got to,
burning up.
Yeah, I don't know if burning up nothing. I mean, there you go. See, soon, Kofi.
Man, stop playing with me, man. Y'all see, I got it.
I told you he was cooking, didn't I?
Burn it up, though. That boy swear he a chef.
Hey, boy, I know him, boy. I know what he cooking.
Y'all boys see it, man. The kids said they wanted some chicken wings, so I'm making some chicken wings.
Yeah, I got you. That's what's up right there. All right. Okay, so I didn't mention any other book. I only wanted Kofi to mention his book for one particular reason, because what we're about to discuss today is we're going to get into some of the some understanding of African concepts of tradition, and mostly what Kofi named were things that was traditionally embedded into the brothers and sisters on the continent, and then that was spread through the diaspora. So let me do something real quick just for the people. Let me do this. I'm gonna give you just a layman's definition because I need to make this point. A layman's definition of the word tradition, okay, is the transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation, or the fact of being passed in this way. That's just a simple Oxford Dictionary for what tradition is, okay? Now, what I'm about to set forth to do is, like I said, deal with a little bit of the African concepts of tradition and what it includes or entails. So, if I remember how to do this. Here we go. Now, I think I should be showing on the screen. Let me know if I'm not showing on the screen.
Yeah, you sharing the screen.
All right, and I know Facebook is behind and YouTube is on time, so I'm gonna proceed. All right, so again, I always got sponsors for my presentations because that's just the type of people the person that I am, and I'm always gonna represent for my people. So if you're ever in the city of Nashville, Tennessee, make sure you stop by Wings and Fries on Jefferson Street. Pick you up a nice little combo meal. They got fish, okra, They spaghetti, hamburgers. They got a full menu. So you want to go over there and get that. Now for you vegetarian people, this is not going to be the best spot for you. Or vegan people, you know what I mean? Unless you want to go over there and you want to get some okra. But let's move on.
Sean, they sell sides, don't they?
Yeah, they got sides. They do.
There you go, man. There you go.
They got some sides. They're gonna have some sides.
Let me say this real quick. I know we live, but it's a good one. So like, it's a vegetarian guy I work with, right? And they done. I'm about to just mix them up. It's a vegetarian guy that I work with, and you know I always be cooking food, right? Y'all know that. It ain't no secret. So he was like, Rob, if I come eat, do you know how to make any vegetarian food? I'm like, nah, but I can make hella sides though. I was like, you know, that because you know most of the sides is vegetables.
Yeah.
So you know that's why I said you know they can still go there and support it. They just had to get the sides.
Right. So part of what Kofi mentioned earlier, you know, he was talking about singing and dancing, and what you have in front of you is 3 different groups of people from West Africa, respectively, and they're all participating in some type of celebration, right, or some type of event or festival that may be going on. You see the kids in the middle and adults outside of them. So let me move a little bit forward. Now, so basically, we're going to define African traditions, oral traditions, traditionalists, craftsmen, griots, conclusion, and sources. Now, this is a great quote. If you haven't time to listen to me, I'll tell the story some other day. This quote is great because when griots are teaching, when they're telling the story, and they're, you know, getting into the oral traditions and some history inside of that, and telling things how they transpired over time. They want your ear. They want to be heard. And if they can't be heard, then they'll say things like this, or I'll tell the story some other day. Hold up, my bad. You know, I got that good mouse. All right, so we have another image here. And this is the true definition of what African concepts of African tradition upholds, is teaching the oneness of the village, the oneness of a people. Anybody got anything they want to add to this?
Yeah, definitely. I actually played for a very, very good class this afternoon, and we had a young brother who couldn't have been no more than 7, 8 years old, and it was his first time playing the particular rhythms with this particular teacher that was teaching the dance.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about African music and music that Black people produce, whether on the continent or diasporically, is that this image is, in essence, the universe that is created. And then out of that universe, you get different little mini solar systems that are different pockets of music. So 2 and 3 drums are going to have to work together over here, 2 and 3 drums over here, 2 and 3 drums, and 2 and 3 drums, until we form a perfect circle, a unit that functions solely to keep itself whole. The music wants to be whole, the dance wants to be whole. That is the essence of the African spirit and way through the music. That's what I got.
Anybody else?
No, I'm good.
All right, let me move on a little bit. I don't know who this brother is, man. He's in one group and he's just throwing out all kind of names. Sutek, you're gonna have to deal with the Akubalan Mother Earth, Pataites, Adamites, Cam Hamite. Oh yeah. All right, man, he in the Final Battle Israelites and Kemetic and Conscious Communities group. He just You're running rampant. I think you just, coming into it. But let's move on. All right. When defining African traditions, we must take a distinct look at its culture. African culture is unique and not like any other culture on the planet. Even with the influences of colonialism, Africans throughout the world have been able to maintain some of its core traditions, even in secrecy. The culture of Africa is varied and manifold, consisting of a mixture of tribes that each have their own unique characteristics. It is a product of the diverse populations that today inhabit the continent of Africa and the African diaspora. African culture is expressed in its arts and crafts, folklore and religion, clothing, cuisine, music, and languages. Africa is so full of culture, with it not only changing from one country to another, but within a single country, many cultures can be discovered. Even though African cultures are widely diverse, it is also, when closely studied, seen to have many similarities. Now, I'm gonna pause for a second right here because there's been many conversations about African traditions and customs on the continent, and people wanting to define or specify which Africans we are talking about in general. But when we go and we dissect and we break down each country, and then we get into the tribes. So if we're talking about the Hausa, the Fulani, if we're talking about the Yoruba, the Igbo, if we're talking about, the Poro, if we're getting into, the Mandi people, if we're talking about just any of them, any particular tribe, right? If we're talking about any tribe, what we're going to see are similarities. We're going to see song, we're going to see dance, we're going to see folklore, we're going to see arts and crafts. We're going to see some type of cultural system. I'm not going to say that SPI word. We're also going to see specific languages and a multitude of languages, depending on which country you're in. And they all will show similarities. They will show something, some way of praising women, children, marriage, birth, transition, and then of course, what African Americans are so headstrong on is basically ancestors. That word, right? Shrines for the ancestors. But these shrines throughout the continent, not just in West Africa, but throughout the continent, are earthly shrines. We haven't seen any. The shrines we see in homes are made of earthly material. When we take a look at different cultures. So let me move on.
Welcome to Stories from Africa for Children and Families. My name is Piesie, and I come from Ghana in West Africa. I am a storyteller, and I am so pleased that you are here to listen to my stories. I want you to share my stories with your friends and family. This story is called Beware of the Strangers. When I say beware, I wonder who can tell me what I mean. Beware. Look out. Yes, watch out. Be careful. That's right. Beware means look out, watch out, be careful. Beware is a warning. Stranger. What is a stranger? Someone you don't know, yes. Is a stranger very tall? No. Is it someone with no hair? No. Is a stranger someone with a red shirt? No. Is it someone with a long beard and mustache and mean-looking eyes? No. A stranger is someone that you don't know. Beware of strangers. In Africa, there are many animals. Some eat meat, some eat grass, and some animals eat meat as well as grass. But one animal, the king of the forest, the lion, he likes to eat meat. And the lion likes to eat antelopes. Because of that, antelopes keep away from lions. I want you to pretend that you are little baby antelopes hiding in the tall grass by the lake with your mother. And your mother says, be quiet, because she doesn't want the lion to hear you. That was what the baby antelopes were doing. They were hiding in the tall grass by the lake with their mother. And they were really quiet because mother said, we don't want the lion to hear you. But very soon, the baby antelopes got bored. They said, Mother, can we go and play in the deep forest? Mother said, oh no, it is too dangerous out there. Baby antelope said, Mother, there's nothing to do, we are bored. Mother said, something will get you. The baby antelope said, Mother, what will get us? And mother said, the lion. The baby antelopes were scared. They had never seen a lion before. They said, Mother, what is a lion? And mother said, a lion is a big cat. It has long, sharp claws and long, sharp teeth, and it will catch you and eat you up. The baby antelopes were disgusted. They said, yuck, mother. Animals do not eat animals. Mother said, the lion will eat you. They said, but mother, we are too fast. We are antelopes. Mother said, the lion is faster. The baby antelope said, Mother, look at our big muscles. We are strong. Mother said, the lion is stronger. The baby antelopes began to whine. Do you know how to whine? Let me hear you whine. They were whining like that. Mother said, stop it right now. The lion will hear you. Shh, quiet. And then she rubbed her chin. She thought for a moment and she said, okay, I will let you go this time, but there are 3 rules and I want you to repeat these rules after me. Do not talk to strangers. Do not go too far away, and run if you see the lion. The baby antelopes became cheerful. They said, thank you, mother, thank you, thank you. They hugged their mother and off they ran into the forest. They chased after each other. They jumped and they skipped and they played hide and seek and they rolled in the grass. But deeper and deeper into the forest they went. And then it became dark and they were lost and scared. As they looked for a way home, they heard a voice. Help! They stopped. They said, what was that? I want you to say that. What was that? Again the voice said, help! Slowly in the dark, they walked towards the voice. They saw a big hole in the ground. It was dark in the hole, but something was moving in the hole. They said, what are you? The voice said, I am just a poor little thing stuck in a hole. Please get me out. The baby antelope said, no, you are mean. You are dangerous. The thing said, oh, no, I'm not. I am just hungry. The baby antelope said, yes, you will eat us. The thing said, oh, no, I won't do a thing like that. That was when the baby antelopes remembered what Mother said. Do you remember anything Mother said? Don't talk to strangers. Don't go too far away. Run if you see the lion. Yes. They said, let's get out of here. And they left. But the thing got desperate. The thing said, oh, no, please don't go, baby antelopes. Please stop. I promise I won't hurt you. Would you believe it? The baby antelopes stopped. And they came back to the hole. They said, did you just make a promise? The thing said, yes. I won't hurt you, I promise. They said, cross your heart. And the thing crossed its heart. So the baby antelopes went and got a long vine. A vine is a bush rope. They came back to the hole, and would you believe it? They threw the vine into the hole, and slowly, they pulled the thing out. When it came out, guess what it was? A lion, a very big one. It had long whiskers, long, sharp yellow teeth, mean eyes, and it began to rub its stomach. Yummy! You've got such big muscles, and I am so hungry. Oh, yummy, yummy. Baby antelopes were scared. They were terrified. They said, but you promised. I wonder if somebody can do a better terrified voice than me. But you promised. Yes. The lion said, I lied. They said, but you crossed your heart. I said, I lied. And the baby antelopes began to cry out real loud. As they cried, the noise woke a turtle up. Turtle came out of its shell and he said, I can't sleep with all this racket. What is going on here? The lion said, go on and mind your own business. The turtle said, I want to know what is going on here. I can't sleep. The lion said, just get out of here and mind your own business. So the turtle said to the baby antelopes, what is going on here? And the baby antelopes whispered something to the turtle. And the turtle began to laugh. Ha 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 ha! I don't believe what I heard. I just don't believe it. The lion said, what is it you don't believe? The turtle said, I just don't believe what I heard. The lion said, what did you hear? The turtle said, the baby antelopes told me they pulled a big lion out of a hole. Is that you? The lion said, yes, that's me. So what? They pulled me out of the hole. The turtle said, no, I don't believe it. The lion said, yes, they did. They pulled me out. The turtle said, I just don't believe it. The lion said, they pulled me out. The turtle said, no, they didn't. The lion became angry. He huffed and puffed and he said, they pulled me out of that hole. And Turtle said, okay, if they pulled you out of that hole, if they really pulled you out, I want to see how they did it. The lion said, what? The turtle said, jump back into that hole and show me how they pulled you out. Oh, the lion got really mad. He huffed and he puffed and he said, all right, I am going into that hole, and when I come back out, you better not be here. So the turtle said, yes, go on and show me how they got you out, you lion. Without thinking, the lion jumped back into the hole and he was stuck. He said, Oh, baby Angelos, please get me out of this hole. I promise I won't hurt you. Do you think they believed him? Would you have got the lion out again? No. That is what happens when you tell lies. Sometimes you can fool some people, but you cannot fool everybody all the time. If you cannot keep a promise, do not make one.
All right, so I hope everybody got the moral of the story is that, even though it was a little long-winded, well, it was about 7 minutes, so it wasn't too long, but the gist of the actual story was how he ended it. And you see this in many what we call oral traditions across the continent of how, the griot's way of telling stories that have meaning, significant meaning. Now, other oral traditions is a fragment of the cultural heritage of mankind that has been miraculously preserved by a combination of circumstances, right? And continuing oral traditions, the oral tradition, also termed oral literature or orature, refers to a wide body of oral discourse encompassing every subject and in every type of expression created by a people. The oral tradition is an art form that can be analyzed in accordance with an approved and recognized set of traditional standards. Here we see a marketplace. In the center of a marketplace, we see a demonstration by a griotess. Kofi would say it a different way, but she's telling the story to the children, similar to what the previous griot was telling to children that was sitting in front of him on the last video. In the story that she whatever she's saying to them, she has their attention and command, because there's a lesson at the end of this story that everyone in the center, in the Market Square Center, will be able to take back with them and learn from it. And this is also another way that they express and talk about their lineage, how they arrived to where they are. And you'll see this in their mythical stories that are also told by the griots and so forth. Kofi, you got something you want to say?
Yeah, I would just just piggybacking off what you said, or piggybacking off what you said, like some of the important things you show. You had 2 slides that had oral tradition on there, and just listening to the story. For people that might not know, when we talk about folk tales, we know folk tales could be mythological stories, but those stories are life and moral lessons to prepare the young for life lessons. So it's this lessons within those stories. That's why those folk tales are very important. But even when you just talking about oral tradition is very important. A lot of people talk and bash about oral tradition because they don't understand African traditions. They don't understand or what oral tradition is in African culture. And I'll just say this, and I'll leave it alone, because I talk about it in the Killmonger's Corner, volume 2, that's coming real soon. I have a whole chapter in there talking about how oral tradition is just important as writing. Without oral tradition, there would be no writing. Again, without oral tradition, there would be no writing. And with oral tradition, there are so many different categories that make up oral tradition. So oral tradition is nothing just made up from word to mouth. There is a process, there is a methodology when it comes to oral tradition. But again, oral tradition is very important. It's moral lessons, preparing the young for life obstacles.
That's it? You don't want to add no more?
I mean, that's it, man. I can go on, man, but go ahead, man. I don't want to take away from what we got.
No, I was just messing with you. But yeah, you bring up some very interesting points of how things are viewed. But you also have to look. You have to look at this through the lenses of your ancestors, our ancestors, right? Our brothers and sisters that are actually on the continent who deal in this every day. And there's a quote that I used on my Facebook line a few weeks back, And it basically said demanding Jele is what they actually call them, or we say griots. Perception of what is important in the distant past do not always correspond to those of European historians. Moreover, the Jele method for recalling the people and events of long ago do not adhere to European standards of scholarship, right? So that is a very impactful statement when it comes to how the African views these things. Now, again, to continue with oral tradition, since the word is considered as being the sacred agent of occult forces, it is venerated as such and is handled with caution. These checks and balances guarantee the authenticity of verbal testimony. Now, this quote right here is significant. It's so significant that when I was doing some research, I actually was reading a chapter in this book that I'm currently reading, and I was going to elaborate on it a little bit in this, but I didn't. It said something about this specific time and era. So I want to put people into the mind of what was going on 600 years ago, when griots were telling stories about the kings and tribal wars, or vegetation, all the things that they seen during their natural world. I'm just specifically speaking 600 years ago. There was more trust in conversations with one another to convey. There was no lack of distrust. Even 400 years ago with one another, there was no lack of distrust. There was no real true thought of someone embellishing and lying to them because of the way the culture and the traditions are set up. So they didn't think that one would deceive them with information that had something to do with it. And then you would have a multitude of other people that would corroborate that particular story. It's not like today, where people can say anything they want to say, and then some people believe them, and then other people don't believe them. And the people that don't believe what this person is actually saying is now a hater and is all these other things because they're challenging what the premise of this person is said, what they said. But then there was no lack of integrity among each other when it came to information or passing down important information regarding their different cultural views and perspectives of many countries on the continent of Africa when it came to oral tradition. So I want you to keep that in mind. Speech itself is divine. Indeed, speech is the gift of the Creator. It is very important in African traditions to express good speech because words have power and actions cannot be described. So when one communicates orally, they must take into account their words precisely. This one ain't gonna play for us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna skip that one. Now, traditionalists, for real African traditionalists were asked, what is oral tradition? His reply might be, it is total knowledge. Traditionalists are defined as a people who know. They may be the master initiates and therefore initiators in special traditions such as metalworking, weaving, hunting, fishing, or else they may possess complete knowledge. And many of traditionalists rely on blacksmiths in their cultural perspectives. They think blacksmiths are like the best thing known to mankind because of their crafty ability to be able to bring, to take something, use their hands, and to take nothing and make something out of it. And usually blacksmiths also hold key to some of the sacred knowledge in the community as well.
Sean, can I add a little to that?
Yeah, you can.
So the specific blacksmiths that are important to the area of West Africa that I study, being the Mande Meta ethnicity, meaning There are several ethnic groups, as Brother Sean mentioned earlier, where you have several languages within a region, within a country, within 5 miles. Not unlike being in Chicago on the west side and I can go to the south side, I will have experienced 15 different ethnic groups if I traveled the same difference of distance in Africa. So diversity is real on the continent, but they all have blacksmiths. Specifically, they call them the Numu within the Mandinka culture. Um, the Numu blacksmiths, and they are responsible for bringing forth djembe and the orchestra and the music that we play there in West Africa. They have an extremely important role in those societies because of their ingenuity and what they've been able to produce for the village. And without them, the village pretty much crumbles. Um, I'll stop there, not to give away too much, but that's real right there. That you need the blacksmiths in so many African cultures, and we can say the word African and have a conversation without having to get bent up over it, because otherwise I'll just speak to you in Mandinka and we can call it a day. Whip out my djembe and we can just go. So in African traditions across the continent, blacksmiths, you're really not studying African culture until you deal with that. I'm gonna just say that with music, dance, oneness, listening comprehension, and blacksmiths. Like, all of that is the gumbo of what African culture is. I'll yield the floor.
Anybody else? All right. All right. So, go ahead, Kofi.
Oh no, I was just going to verify what he was saying. And blacksmiths are revered, correct? T'Challa, they are revered in African culture.
Correct.
Yeah.
Highly revered. Mm-hmm.
Highly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the top of the food chain in the community.
Right.
Yeah, because the ability to bring things to life, right? Think about what blacksmiths do. The masks that are created, the garbs that are used, or the costumes that are made to represent the ancestors, right? Or the animalistic qualities of their natural world and understanding. Like right now, we're looking at. Anybody know what we're looking at right now? Y'all quiet. Y'all on mute.
Shoot, it is some kind of sacrifice.
Just don't just look at that, right? Who's administering something right now?
He has to be some type of priest or some type of diviner.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So just like a blacksmith, what does he would be the equivalent of bringing forth something that people are seeking.
Correct.
So they both play, and I'm bringing it out from that perspective because they both play a big role in African traditions and understanding, and we tend to misrepresent and misunderstand what it is that they're actually doing from an African perspective. We want to divinate mathematically from a Eurocentric perspective. We want to Africanize these Abrahamic religions and then transcend them into the traditions and act like we're doing something that is not, indigenous to the people that are actually have been divining and blacksmithing for some time. And we haven't even began to blacksmith here in the Americas. We used to. We used to have a lot of people that were very crafted with building and creating things with their hands, and bringing our life, bringing that perspective out. But hey, Let me move on a little bit. All right, so as a rule, the master of knowledge is a general practitioner versed in the sciences of plants, of the earth with its agricultural and medicinal properties, of water, and also in astronomy, cosmogony, psychology, and other subjects. This is key. And I know somebody wanted to say something because I said something in here that does not mention anything else. So go ahead. Whoever unmuted.
Oh, I might have been me unmuted, but go ahead. I ain't got that. I wasn't even.
All right. So you don't see, there are subjects that you do not see, even though it says other subjects, but the other subjects that some people think of, excuse me, are not the subjects that we're all thinking about or talking about. And I'll leave that one for Sutek because, you know, he already did. He got a build on that, and I don't want to get into that mess.
Come out astrology.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got a presentation on Kofi Piesie TV dealing with astrology. Y'all go back in the archives and watch it.
All right, so general traditionalists have a high regard for truth, and for them, lying was morally unacceptable. As the saying goes, better for the world to be cut off from you than for you to be cut off from yourself through lies. General traditionalists have oh, there we go. So again, here we go. T'Challa, what my man doing?
he you know, he's producing. I'm gonna be real quick with this because I know, you know, I don't want to get like MC Iron Lung, you know what I mean? But so if he's producing, he's causing something to come into fruition. He's causing something to come into being. And in Africa, quote unquote, inanimate objects have life as well. And there's a certain way you got to understand it to really grasp that. Like, my djembe is deified. All of my drums are deified. The sticks that we use is deified. What this brother is doing in the picture, he's bringing forth something. So he's causing something to come into life. So the ontology conversation to coming into being, that is very important in African traditions. And I understand that from a music and warrior's perspective. I'll leave it right there.
Absolutely. He is bringing forth something. It's creating. All right. During the colonial period, the influence of traditionalists was played down on the grounds that they may be vocal points for resistant movements, and they took refuge in the bush. Now, this is actually true. When the colonialists did come into the continent with their missionaries and so on and so forth, you did have a lot of traditionalists run to the bush and hide. Even with the coming of Islam, when, you know, a lot of them accepted it via trade and, you know, wanted access to other resources, they would convert to Islam to not only conduct trade, but also get those resources, but they would Africanize Islam. Now, in the Africanization of Islam, you would have well-known rulers, right, in their time that never let go of the traditional ways and the cultural ways of old, and they would run to the bush to practice those things, right? Like war ceremonies. Or if they needed to divine about something, or if it's something that was bothering them, they would run to the bush to get answers. They didn't turn to Islam. I'm going to say this slowly. They converted to Islam to do trade and have access to resources. But when something was on the people, when something needed to be done or resolved or communicated with effectively, they ran to the traditions of old. They didn't go to Allah. They didn't pray east. They went to the bush to get their answers. And that said something over time. And that's been less of an issue today because you have Islam very predominant in African areas. You have Christianity predominant in certain areas, and then you have these percentages of traditionalists in small pockets on the continent. And then you got all these other amalgamation of things that's going on right now, trying to infiltrate and change the diameter because they don't want you running to the bush. But I think somebody wanted to say something though. Go ahead.
Me, I want you're talking about the bush. I just want to clear up something too with the bush. The bush is not the devil bush. It's not the wicked bush. It's not the evil bush. The bush is sacred in African culture. I mean, when you read a lot of these European publications or Arab publications, you will see them demeaning the bush. And again, the bush is very sacred in our culture. When you look at, Hisham mentioned that they will run to the bush, to seek refuge, to seek certain things from their indigenous tradition. If you go back and study their indigenous traditions, you will see that if you study their rites of passages, you will see that they will always go into the bush. You certain important tasks that had to be, or certain trainings or initiations had to be taking place in certain ethnic groups, they will go to the bush. If they was training, warriors was training or being initiated into some type of warrior class, they will be trained in the sacred bush. So the bush was very sacred and still is sacred in African culture and African traditions. So anytime that you read anything that says that the bush is bad or describe the bush as the devil bush or the wicked bush or the evil bush, that is people that don't have an understanding about African culture and African traditions, and a lot of them is a Eurocentric worldview or Arab worldview.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Real quick, let me say too, I'm gonna do something on this conversion because I want us to start using a different word because it wasn't so black and white. You know what I'm saying? I know you probably know that because you into the Arabic sources, but it wasn't so black and white. But one little nugget I give is most of these people that they were saying converted, or usually it was the royalty, but they never follow Sharia law, which is Islamic law. Most of the time they just following the practices, the rituals and stuff like that. But I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna put something together for that too, man.
That's correct. They didn't, they adopted Islam because they saw some things in Islam that was kind of similar to what they were already dealing with, and so it made converting, or it made accepting or adopting Islam easy for them because of the way certain traditions and culture was set up at the time. So, craftsmen. The traditional crafts and trades are the great vectors of oral tradition. The craftsman's work is important because it is in the image of the divine creation. Bambara tradition teaches that when Ma'Ngala created the universe, he left things unfinished so that man could complete them, alter them, and finally perfect them. The craftsman's task is therefore to repeat the process of creation through speech. The craftsman's work was not merely a straightforward creative activity. It was more in the nature of a recreation of the world. Each person perfected a separate craft, which would take them down different paths. It is believed that the further the journey can ultimately lead to unity. Craftsmen are important to the social structure of African traditions. They help shape the existence of culture throughout each tribe. Within each craftsman, woman, or man lies a story that needs to be told, but one many can learn from. That's a fact.
At the carver's house in the village, the work begins. These blocks of wood will be carved into stools, which the Ashanti use for ceremonies and as furniture for their houses. The wood that is used for the stools is either white birch, which grows in the forest near the village, or red mahogany, which grows far away and must be bought from a nearby lumber yard. Over the years, the methods of carving have changed very little, and the few tools that are used have remained quite simple. The first work of shaping the outline of the stool in the wood is done with an axe. As the work progresses, another tool, an adze, is used for the finer and more complex carving. With the adze, the carver forms the smooth surface, which will be the seat of the stool. The men work slowly and carefully, for the making of the stool is very much like the carving of a fine piece of sculpture.
Griots are responsible for entertaining the public and for enlivening the proceedings at official or private ceremonies. Griots can be divided into three categories. One, musicians, singers, and composers who can play multiple instruments. Ambassadors of the royal court who hold the responsibility for mediating marriages or disputes. 3, historians, genealogists who are composers of oral texts, who are usually travelers that didn't belong to a particular family. Here's an image of some griots, modern day. Griots, unlike traditionalists and craftsmen, can utter whatever they want without any discretion. They have no allegiance to any tribe and usually speak with 2 tongues. The reason that they'll speak with 2 tongues is because some griots are courteous enough these days that when they tell a story, they ask about, is there any other, let's say you're dealing with the Fulani, and let's say we're dealing with the Hassa, and they're telling a story, or they want to tell a story about an event that actually transpired between the two that involved a type of tribal conflict or war that took place, and one lost. They'll ask, out of respect, if either one was in the house, or if it was totally one or the other. So if there was someone that was of Hassa and under a particular name, that, you know, they would try to smooth that over so they don't cause any tension or disrespect toward a person's name and the meaning of the name, and just continue to tell the story without actually, you know, making things worse in the light. So yeah, they'll speak with 2 tongues. Griots perform an important religious function. History and religion merge for the griot, who has the responsibility of documenting the history of the royal family. I don't like the word religion when we talk about Africa, because you're talking about traditions and customs. Some people be like, well, it is a religion. No, it's not binded by any holy book. There's no savior coming back to save everybody, or none of those things like that. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to speak on the griot real quick, man. I consider myself a griot. And a griot, well, I'll just say back in the days, anybody couldn't be a griot. You had to be born to be a griot or a griotis. That's I call it a griotis. Griotis is the woman aspect. And Sean named a few of the roles of the griots. The griots weren't only musicians; they was historians. They was not only historians; they were storytellers. They were not only storytellers; they were teachers. They were not only ambassadors, but they was also warriors too. So the griots hold many different roles. They was very important in West African culture. Um, and again, you had to be born to be a griot. But in today's time, you don't have, meaning that my father had to be a griot in order for me to be a griot. And I had to go through a form of initiation or a form of training in order to be a griot. The same goes for the women as well. They had to be born into the family of a griot. But now in today's time, you don't have to be born into a griot family. Anyone can be a griot. They also now provide schools or training schools to train to be griots now in West Africa. So you don't have to be born in a griot family in order to be trained up to be a griot. Some griots served in all those capacities, all those roles, and some griots just only serve in certain capacities. But griots are very important. They exhibit or demonstrate. They exhibit information, meaning that they pass down information from one generation to the next. They understand how important information is and how important it is for them to share that information with others. And this is the reason why I say that I am a griot as well, because I follow by that same thing. Everybody knows that as I learn, we all learn. It's a phrase I came up with and the standard that we live by over here on Kofi Piesie Research, over here on Kofi Piesie TV and the Kofi Piesie Research team. And that is studying information and teaching, because griots are teachers. So we are considered teachers as well, but we convey information as well. We take that we don't take that lightly. We take that very important. So I just wanted to share that, man. I know I got a little long-winded.
You did.
All right. Yeah, I was trying to add something, Brother Kofi, but he kept saying the word griot and griotis. Real quick, Sean, I just wanted to say one of the ways that is determined. I'm going to speak on the area that used to be called the Malian Empire. We're talking about Mansa Musa, Sunjata Keita, all of that. One of the ways is the last name. Some of the last names of griots in that area of West Africa, the jellies, you've got Giabate, you've got Cognaté. Those are a couple names. If you have someone, traditionally, we're talking about, and we should really be careful when we say that word too, because tradition is fluid and evolving in Africa, and you can see it within the music. Certain rhythms have certain breaks. It's deep. But early tradition, you will find those specific names being tied to griots. But as the brother Kofi said, nowadays you have somebody with the last name Keita, which is the lion in Mandinka, but they'll also be a griot, which is usually unheard of, like, prior to like modern times.
In telling the history of a dynasty or clan, they succeed in arousing feeling of pride. They are handsomely recompensed by the freemen or noble concerned, some of whom have no hesitation in stripping themselves in their own garments or jewelry to reward the griot for having displayed such a skill, insight, and artistry in glorifying their ancestors. Griots are known for embellishing a little bit when they tell a story. Who wants to tell a sad story to a crowd of people? Conclusion. The more we study African traditions, the more we see a connection with all things. As kidnapped victims westernized by Eurocentric philosophies, we have not only been disconnected, but deprived of the essential teaching tools that make up who we are. If you wish to know who I am, if you wish me to teach you what I know, cease for a while to be what you are and forget what you know. There's the references. Kofi's book, my book, Volume 2, From Spears to Pen, out now. Spears and Amasi, Volume 1, out now. Killmonger's Corner, Volume 1, out now. And the logos, jumping this thing off. Now, the links to the books are in the description. The links to the should be on YouTube, Facebook, and the like page should all have the links to every single book that was just shown. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And there we go. Any questions in the chat? No questions. So many different chats, so I'm checking.
Yeah, it's confusing to me. I ain't know you was on both of them. You on both. Well, you in the group.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm everywhere.
But while you checking that, man, I just want to tell the people tomorrow, if y'all not doing anything, at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Sister LaDosha is having a discussion on hair, and there's many people on the panel. I'm one of the persons that's going to be on the panel. It's going to be on Kevin Shield YouTube channel tomorrow again, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's going to be an interesting discussion. They got quite a few different people on that's going to be on the panel. My viewpoint is going to be a little bit of different. So I think y'all might want to check that out tomorrow again on Kevin Shield YouTube channel. If you hadn't subscribed, please go subscribe. And I have a presentation that I'm actually working on in the process right now that's inspired by, which we hadn't even did the show yet, which is tomorrow, but it's inspired by the show because I know we're going to talk about a few little things that I know that people are going to miss or going to comb over. So I got a presentation that I'll probably be coming back and doing on Kevin Chill's show Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If we don't work that out, I'll definitely be doing it at 7 p.m. on Kofi Piesie TV. But we're trying to work it out where we're able to do it. I'm able to do it over there on his channel Monday. It'll be the follow-up after the discussion that we have tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a show sponsored by LaDosha and put on by LaDosha, right?
Yeah, on that note, man, I'm just going to say, like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. We appreciate everybody that tuned in or who will watch it in the archives. Support the books. We worked hard to bring forth this information. We continue to do our job by providing solutions and material for everyone to grab a hold on to, teach your babies, teach yourselves, and then teach others. Because, as Kofi said, as I learned, we all learn. That is the method of the mode, and that's how things are getting rocked. So, welcome home, Black Panther. It's been a long 19 months for you, brother. You've been overseas and you haven't been able to see your family. So we'd like to welcome you back stateside. And we look forward to hearing from Black Panther soon on the Mossy Warrior Clan YouTube channel. From my understanding, there will be some things that he's working on right now to kind of while he's here. There'll be some things that he'll be involved in keeping us abreast to some learning opportunities that we had going. But because of a lot of the disconnect and things of that nature that was going on over there, kind of slowed down. So hopefully we can get back to that. Stay tuned for that. Look out for those links. And, I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight, man. Again, like the show, share the show. And we out. Shimon Hotel.
Peace.